When you watch the short, you go, man, that guinea pig was cool. I wish they showed more of it. Hey everyone, welcome to the KreatureKid channel and the making of our demon guinea pig for the short film 666. This was a really fun puppet for a very small budget film. So with that, we have to be creative with how we make something to be the most cost effective, but also look as good as we possibly can make it to have something that we're proud of. So for this puppet, what I wanted to do is I really wanted to do a double scale puppet. So you shoot it to sell the illusion that it's the size of a guinea pig. This is a technique that's been used in the past a few times. Some of my favorite examples as a rodent done overscale was Stan Winston did an overscale mouse for the movie Mouse Hunt that I loved when I was younger. And then overscale mice were done by the Jim Henson Company for Witches, which is one of my favorite movies still. And these mice looked so cool. Seeing the overscale puppets in large scale sets made to look like miniature. So that way we have more room to work with the creature being a hand puppet instead of like trying to make a puppet that functions that's super small. So we double sized the hand puppet version to fit a hand in there. This was all digitally sculpted, digitally 3D printed molds, and then we just ran silicone in the 3D printed molds. That saves all the cost and time of having to put clay on the 3D printed components and mold those and all kinds of stuff. We only needed to do one copy of each of these demonic guinea pigs, so the 3D printed molds were sturdy enough. What we did is just to streamline everything because of the deadline and the budget. We did the head, we did the ears, and then we did one little mold for 2 of his hands, and then we just cast them twice for front feet and back feet. That's why the guinea pig has 4 toes on front and back feet. It's just the same hands. For the look of the demonic guinea pig, what we did is we just took references of naked guinea pigs, digitally sculpted, kind of a more possessed looking version. In the story, it gets stabbed, so we have this giant wound in its head. And I did a fun, like, I wanted half his face to be kind of distorted like the Phantom of the Opera. So he's kind of got a grotesque, like, half droopy face. And we just kind of upped the grossness on, like, the teeth design and the snarl, you know, and trying to make it look like a cute, fluffy guinea pig, but also be creepy. The director really wanted something similar to the possessed taxidermy deer head in Evil Dead 2. So somewhat stylistic, somewhat cartoony, but still like realistic aspects. So for tinting the silicone on this one, I mean, I just wanted like a gray dead looking skin color. We were working with just a translucent tin silicone. So it's just adding little pigments to get that gray color. Just make sure it's tinted enough because this is thin, so it's gonna be translucent, so make sure it's very pigmented. Once we 3D printed the molds, and we got the silicone skin, we just go straight into painting, silicone painting, and then tinting the guts. You know, obviously we just tinted it kind of pinky, and then we brushed in silicone in the colors that we needed to, and then peeled it out like a little floppy pancake. And then with the paint, we put on kind of washes of the blood silicone color that settles in the deeps and really makes it look like little organs and stuff in there. And then a lot of this was just being enhanced with the paint because I wasn't quite sure on the paint scheme and I wasn't quite sure on how much fur I wanted covering it all. You could see the paint job is pretty intricate and kind of splotchy, like a little naked dog. It's kind of got like black spots and white spots and pink areas and stuff. The eyes were just 3D printed spheres that we just did little vacuum forms of, and then we reverse painted and automotive them so they're just nice and glossy but transparent because we had LEDs mounted inside of the eyes so the eyes can glow red. The body was just a big 3D printed mold that we just ran polyfoam in with a core of an arm, just kind of generic dimensions of the width of an arm, enough to get your hand through. So we had a big polyfoam body and then silicone feet and hands and head. We take our silicone skin and we silpoxy it to the underskull. This is what kind of keeps the skin in place.
Be aware that like if you glue it like that, we don't want a gap there. You want to be aware that you're gluing it so that the eye is hugging to the eye. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I would like actually like push the eyelid down around the eye so you know you're not doing this and causing a gap, because that's bad. We don't want that.
For the fur, we started figuring out what the guinea pig would look like that's in the film, because in the short film, it is a real guinea pig, and then it gets possessed by a demon, and then it turns into a puppet. So we had to match the pattern and color of a real guinea pig. So once the guinea pig was cast and we had our color reference, then we can figure out, okay, we need white fur. How do we adhere the pelts to this giant guinea pig body without having like seam lines or anything like that?
So what I would do is pretty much lay like...
Kind of like round it out.
Yeah, definitely round it out. But kind of focus on blending this more into this.
Okay.
Don't worry as much as bringing this shape down, because this is a shape on its own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are basically separate pieces we're making in hair. So this is a whole cheek shape. That's one shape. The chin shape is all the different shape. And the chin is kind of tucking under the cheek is. So yeah, follow this hair more kind of up.
And then we had a little flap on the belly to hold the battery and the dimmer and the on and off switch to power the eyeballs. No matter what, that's gonna have an edge. If we do this first, right? Say it's whatever, living right there. This can just overlap it, right? And then for the face, what we did is we didn't want to punch it. We didn't have enough time. We basically had to finish the fur within a couple days. So what we did is we laid most of the fur on with just a silicone glue.
Yes.
You don't want to trim it on here. It's going to look trimmed on here. You want to cut it shorter off of there and lay it shorter.
Okay, gotcha.
Because these hairs go to a point. If you trim it, you're going to have straights, you know? Now, one of the downfalls of that, now looking back, what we should have done is not a silicone glue, because what the problem that introduced was the silicone glue is firmer than the silicone we used to cast the puppet. So the puppet moved pretty nicely. I mean, it was tough to get the jaw to open and close, but once you put those layers of stiff silicone glue, it immediately started eliminating some of the stretch of the mouth, and then it was just crazy sore on your thumb. So that, in hindsight, we should have used a different, I don't know if it would have been a different adhesive, or maybe just punching all the hair might have been easier, but way more time consuming. It was kind of like, what's the quickest option with the best results? With what are the shots that need to be accomplished with this puppet? We laid all the fur onto the face with the silicone glue, and then we just styled it with hair gel, and then we painted the fur spots with just acrylics, and the combination of the hair gel on top of the painted fur kind of locked in the paint. I mean, I'm sure if you ruffled up the fur a lot or like got it wet, the paint would eventually start coming off, but for just the couple shots we needed to achieve with this puppet, it's perfectly fine. For the whiskers of the guinea pig, this is actually a technique that we saw on the Stan Winston school. And it's feathers, just little chicken feathers, and then you peel off the bristles, and the stem of the feather is the perfect like thick to perfectly pointy taper, and you can kind of like curve it a little. So all the whiskers in the guinea pig are chicken stem feather stems. The teeth of the hand puppet are just 3D printed and then painted prints, again, to avoid the molding process and just save time and money on making this piece. In the end, I'm really happy with this puppet. I'm really proud of how the hair turned out. I didn't think it'd turn out that good. Sometimes we get jobs and I'm like, I don't know if it'll work. But this one I think really worked well. For stuff like this where we're not able, it's not in the budget for us to go to set and perform the puppet, we do these tutorial videos where we show like, all right, this is how I recommend you puppet it, this is how to dress the puppet, this is how to clean up the puppet, and I have to kind of convey that through video of like, I recommend doing it this way and maybe shooting these angles. I'm gonna do a little walkthrough of the guinea pig. First, let's talk about our hero puppet here. So how the guinea pig operates for his eyes is there's a little Velcro tab down here. You peel up his little fur belly, and inside you'll see these things, the battery, the knob to dim the eyes, and then the on and off switch. So it's on full blast right now. You can flip it on, you can see the eyes light up, and the little dimmer knob, depending on what it looks like in camera. Tuck everything back in, put the Velcro down, and he's good. When you stick your arm inside on the back, you do have to be aware there's 2 wires coming out from all that stuff. wrapping around the head, coming from the left and from the right. So whoever's operating this, preferably someone with a small hand. I kind of have small hands. You need someone with a lot of grip strength, specifically it is going to wear them out pretty quickly. Get your hand in there. You can feel the wires on the left and the right. Make sure you don't tug them or anything. And there's a little foam channel in the head, just the head part right here, essentially. And it gets snug, but don't be afraid. What you need to do is push on the front of the face and jam your fingers in there. It'll just be, your pinky's gonna be pretty crunched up, but you'll feel your middle finger kind of pass through the foam and kind of break into the snout, like a little plasticky area. Now, there's a little thumb tab in there to like steer the bottom jaw, but there's really not much movement of the bottom jaw besides that. I got my hand crunched in the top, and I'm pulling it in, and I'm stretching it out like that. And the head tilt is what's driving the mouth to open. And you can kind of, there's a little thumb socket. You can kind of get the jaw moving around a little bit, like a little wiggle side to side. You can kind of tuck in your lower jaw. You can kind of push up on that tab to kind of open his mouth a bit more. But for talking, you got to kind of cheat it and sell it of like blah, 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 blah. The goo this is Ultra Slime tinted blood. A little bit goes a long way. I recommend maybe a little bit of that. It's gonna be super stringy, so you get a little bit, snip it with some scissors or something. Just smear it in the mouth a little bit. These are both the same. I just wanted to give you a little extra. This is just blood. Get a little brush, dip it in the blood, and you can kind of just dress this wound a little bit. Maybe drip a little down here into the mouth and stuff, a little bit there. But you don't want to cover up the brain too much. So I think just pooling a little bit in the middle and then doing a light smear all the way around and into the fur, just a hair, is all you really need. Also be very gentle with the fur. You don't want to fluff it up. The paint will get messed up. So be pretty careful with this guy. So this guy's just all rubber. The only thing that's hard is his teeth. You don't want to break his teeth, but it probably will be fine. So you can go as hard as you want on this puppet. Now, to dress this, you're gonna want, obviously you're pooling your blood, putting your blood on here, putting blood on there, blood coming out of the mouth, maybe a little blood oozing out of the eye, because his eye is like a little popped grape. And then I recommend just putting some blood on the book. And then you want to get your Ultra Slime. And this is where we're going to use most of this. Really cake it in there. Maybe wear rubber gloves. Or wrap it around with this popsicle stick. Scoop it up, blob it in there. Blob it on the book as well. And then line it up. Do a little push down. And then do your book reveal. And it'll string webby slime all over the place.
And then with this puppet, you know, the more you get your hand in there, the more you play with it, the more you kind of experiment, like, oh, if I hold it this way, or if I use these fingers, it looks much better. If I, you know, like making it talk, doing this doesn't work, or it puts too much strain on my thumb. But if I make it talk by just moving his bottom jaw and then wiggling the head separately, stuff like that kind of sells the puppet a bit better. Learning how the puppet performs best really kind of also helps establish like the best way to shoot a puppet like this. I always have to think about how the puppets function and how to get them to be shot in a way that sells it to look real and not like a puppet, to get the most out of it, to get the most out of the performance of the puppet.
I'm kind of working out this puppet thing again, or making his jaw move. You'll see in the video how I recommend doing it, where you just kind of, your hands, I mean, I'm pushing in, and I'm getting my hand crammed in there. Don't push on the eyes, push on the snout. You know, careful not to push on the teeth. So it's, my hands are just in the top part, right? And you can get your kind of head movement but your jaw is just standing still. So maybe in a shot, have it roar and kind of not like... And then when you get to talking, get the puppeteer. This is why puppeteers are, it's a profession. It's very tricky. Get the puppeteer to remove his upper hand from the top of the head and just hold on. Just drive, I'm holding on like this, to the cup mounted on a post coming out of the bottom jaw, right? And you can, I'm doing this. I'm driving the jaw. It's tough, but I can make it talk. Rah, 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 rah. With this now, your hand's busy doing that. You're not getting the head. You're getting some secondary movement with just the thing moving, but you're not going to get it looking around and talking. So maybe it's a different shot. But see, then you can get that, right? Get some side to side. It hurts too, because you're pinching a little plastic thing that you're fighting all this silicone and glue, right? That doesn't want to stretch very well. This is definitely one of my favorite critters we've done, and a puppet I'm really proud of. And I think it turned out awesome. I'm really excited to see it. Keep your eye out for 666. And again, leave any comments or questions below. We'll try to get back to you about materials, process, steps and things like that. Good luck building. That's gonna look really killer.